Hyun-sik stared at the wine spreading across the floor like a red ocean. His hands still held the empty glass. In front of him stood the most important alien diplomat to ever visit Station Harmony, and he had just dumped an entire glass of Earth's finest wine all over her ceremonial robes. "I am so sorry," he stammered, grabbing napkins from the nearby table. His face burned with embarrassment. "Please, let me help clean this up." The Velthron woman looked down at her stained clothing. Her skin shimmered with soft blue patterns that seemed to pulse with light. Her eyes, which had been a calm silver color moments ago, shifted to something between purple and gold. Hyun-sik had read that Velthron eyes changed colors, but he didn't know what any of the colors meant. "You are distressed," she said. Her voice was smooth and oddly flat, like she was reading words from a script. "This is unnecessary. The garment can be cleaned. Still, I feel terrible about this." Hyun-sik handed her the napkins. "I'm Hyun-sik. I work in cultural relations here. This is literally the worst first impression I could make. I am Vela." She took the napkins but didn't use them. Instead, she studied them with curiosity. "You say you feel terrible. What does this mean exactly?" Hyun-sik blinked. "It means I feel bad, guilty, like I did something wrong, and I wish I could fix it." "Fascinating." Vela's eyes shifted to a bright green color. "My people eliminated such responses long ago. They serve no practical purpose." The rest of the reception passed without further disasters. Hyun-sik kept his distance from the Velthron delegation. But he couldn't stop noticing Vela. She stood among the other diplomats like a statue, never smiling, never frowning. The other Velthrons were the same. They spoke when necessary, ate small amounts of food, and showed no reaction to anything. It seemed lonely. Hours later, Hyun-sik was finishing his reports in his small office when the door chimed. He opened it to find Vela standing in the corridor. She had changed clothes and wore a simple gray outfit. "Ambassador Vela," he said, surprised. "Can I help you with something?" "I wish to understand your emotional responses," she said. "When you damaged my clothing, you experienced guilt. I have been thinking about this. My people's records speak of emotions, but we removed them from our biology 3,000 years ago. Seeing yours today made me curious." Hyun-sik gestured for her to come in. "I'm not sure I'm the best person to explain emotions. I'm just a cultural liaison, not a psychologist." "You are human," Vela said, sitting in the chair across from his desk. "That makes you an expert in human emotions." They talked for hours. Hyun-sik tried to explain feelings in simple terms. He told her about happiness when he saw his family, sadness when his grandfather died, excitement when he got this job on the station. Vela listened to everything with intense focus. "Why do you choose to feel pain?" she asked. "If you know sadness will hurt you, why not remove it?" "Because the good feelings make the pain worth it," Hyun-sik said. "If I couldn't feel sad about losing my grandfather, could I really feel happy about the time we had together?" "They're connected." Vela's eyes flickered through several colors. "This is illogical. Yet, I find myself wanting to understand." "Want is an emotion," Hyun-sik pointed out with a smile. "Impossible. I am Velthron. We do not feel." But Hyun-sik saw her eyes shift to a warm orange color when he smiled at her. He wondered what that meant. They continued talking. Vela asked about human culture, food, music, and art. She seemed especially interested when Hyun-sik showed her pictures of Earth. He pulled up images of oceans, mountains, and cities. He showed her paintings and played her some music. "This sound pattern makes my chest feel strange," Vela said when he played a slow, beautiful piano piece. "Is this normal?" "Wah. That means the music is moving you," Hyun-sik said. "It's touching something inside you. But I have no emotions to be touched." "Are you sure about that?" Vela stood up and walked to the window. Outside, stars stretched endlessly in all directions. "My people believe emotions make beings weak. They cause wars, pain, and chaos. We chose logic, and order instead. But you're here asking me about feelings, Hyun-sik said gently. Doesn't that mean some part of you wants to feel them? She turned to face him. Her eyes were a deep blue now, almost like the ocean in the pictures he had shown her. I should return to my quarters. This conversation has been enlightening. But she didn't leave. She stood there, looking at him with an expression that seemed lost. Hyun-sik felt something shift in the air between them. He stood up and walked closer to her. Vela, can I ask you something? Those color changes in your eyes, what do they mean? They are involuntary biological responses to stimuli. They mean nothing. I think they mean everything, Hyun-sik said. I think they're showing the emotions you claim not to have. Vela reached out and touched his face. Her hand was warm. What are you doing to me? Since I arrived on this station, since you spilled that wine, I have felt incomplete. Like something inside me is waking up after a very long sleep. Maybe it's supposed to wake up, Hyun-sik whispered. What happened next? Neither of them planned. Vela kissed him, and Hyun-sik kissed her back. It was tentative at first, then deeper. Vela's eyes blazed with colors he had never seen, cycling through the entire spectrum like a rainbow. They spent the night together in his quarters. Vela experienced everything for the first time. She laughed. Truly laughed. At a joke he made. She cried when he played her a sad song. She held him close and felt something her people had forgotten existed. Love. In the morning, Vela lay beside him, watching the artificial sunrise through the window. My people will say this was a mistake, she said quietly. Was it? Hyun-sik asked. She turned to look at him. Her eyes were a soft pink color, warm and gentle. No. For the first time in my life, I feel alive. Truly alive. Whatever happens next, thank you for showing me this. Hyun-sik kissed her forehead. Thank you for trusting me enough to feel. They both knew she had to leave soon. Her delegation was departing the next day. They held each other and pretended the morning would never come. Neither of them knew that their one night together had changed everything. Neither of them knew that Velthron biology had done something it hadn't done in thousands of years. Neither of them knew that they were now connected forever. But they would find out soon enough. 7 days passed since Vela left Station Harmony. 7 days since Hyun-sik watched her ship disappear among the stars. He tried to focus on his work. But everything reminded him of her. The reception hall where they met. The window where they watched the sunrise. His quarters, where they had shared that incredible night. His friend Yuna noticed something was wrong. She cornered him in the cafeteria during lunch. You look terrible, she said, sitting down across from him. Are you sick? Just tired, Hyun-sik lied. He pushed his food around his plate without eating. You've been tired for a week, and you keep touching your chest like something hurts. Yuna leaned forward, her scientist brain clearly working. What happened while I was away at that conference? Before Hyun-sik could answer, his communication device beeped. An urgent message flashed on the screen. His heart jumped when he saw the sender's name. Vela. The message was short. I must speak with you immediately. It is a matter of life and death. I am returning to Station Harmony. Harmony. Hyun-sik's hands shook as he showed Yuna the message. Something's wrong. Vela's ship arrived 6 hours later. Hyun-sik waited at the docking bay, his stomach twisted in knots. When Vela stepped off the ship, he barely recognized her. Her skin patterns flickered erratically. Her eyes couldn't seem to settle on one color. She looked exhausted. Behind her walked another Velthron, older, wearing medical insignia on his uniform. Hyun-sik, Vela said. Just saying his name seemed to make her steadier. Her skin patterns calmed slightly. We need to talk, somewhere private. They went to a conference room. Jin, Hyun-sik's colleague, tried to follow out of curiosity, but Vela's medical advisor blocked him. This is a private medical matter, the Velthron doctor said. Inside the conference room, Vela sat down heavily. The doctor, who introduced himself as Physician Kelth, pulled out a scanner and ran it over Vela, then turned to Hyun-sik. I need to scan you as well, Kelth said. Me? Why? Please. This will all make sense shortly. After scanning Hyunsik, Kelth studied his device and made a sound that might have been a sigh. As I suspected. The bond is complete and stable. What bond? Hyunsik looked between Vela and the doctor. What's going on? Vela met his eyes. When we were together that night, something happened. Something that my people thought was just an old legend. Hyunsik, I have formed a soul tether bond with you. A what? Kelth stepped forward. In ancient times, before my people eliminated emotions, Velthrons could form permanent biological bonds with compatible mates. When a Velthron female experiences genuine emotional connection during physical intimacy, her body releases specific hormones. These hormones rewrite portions of her genetic code to link with her partner. Hyunsik felt like the floor was dropping away beneath him. Link? What does that mean? It means we are connected now, Vela said softly. On a cellular level, our bodies recognize each other as two parts of one whole. This hasn't happened in over 3,000 years, Kelth continued. We believed it was impossible. Velthrons no longer experience emotions, so the trigger never occurs. But you, Hyunsik, you made her feel. You awakened something in her that activated this ancient biological mechanism. Hyunsik sat down. His mind raced. Okay. So we're connected. What does that actually mean for us? Unresided. Unresided. 100 Ming. Unresided. 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 Vela and Kelth exchanged glances. Vela spoke first. It means if we are separated for too long, we will both become ill. Eventually, if the separation continues, we will die. The room seemed to spin. Die? You're telling me I'm going to die if we're not together? We both will, Vela said. Her voice cracked. I am so sorry. I did not know this would happen. I did not know it was even possible. Kelth pulled up images on his device. Look here. These are your biological readings. Both of you show the same energy patterns. Your heart rates synchronize when you are near each other. Even your brain waves align. This is a complete bond. Can it be reversed? Hyunsik asked. No. Kelth's answer was firm. Once formed, a soul tether is permanent. It is written into your genetic code. It cannot be undone. Hyunsik looked at Vela. She looked terrified. You said you've been feeling sick since you left? She nodded. At first, I thought it was just emotional pain from leaving you. But then, my skin patterns became unstable. I felt weak, dizzy. Kelth ran tests and discovered the bond. I came back immediately. And you feel better now that you're here? Yes, much better. Hyunsik felt it too, now that he thought about it. The strange ache in his chest that had plagued him for 7 days was gone. He felt complete again. Like a missing piece had returned. How long can we be apart? He asked Kelth. Based on ancient records, no more than 2 or 3 weeks before serious health effects begin. A month would likely be fatal. The door opened and Yuna burst in, followed by Jin. Sorry, but we could hear shouting, and we got worried. She looked at Hyunsik's face and immediately went to his side. What's wrong? Hyunsik explained everything. Yuna listened, her scientific mind processing the information. Jin's eyes got wider and wider. This is insane, Jin said. You had one night together and now you're bonded for life? It's not insane, Yuna said slowly. I've read about similar bonding mechanisms in other species. If Velthrons evolved with this capability, it makes biological sense. Strong pair bonding would have helped their species survive. She turned to Kelth. May I see your data? For the next hour, Yuna and Kelth compared notes. They ran more scans. They analyzed blood samples. Finally, Yuna confirmed what Kelth had said. The bond was real, permanent, and unbreakable. There's more, Kelth said grimly. The Velthran High Council has learned of this situation. They have ordered Vela to return home immediately and undergo a neural suppression procedure. What will that do? Hyunsik asked. It will eliminate her ability to feel emotions permanently. It will also sever her awareness of the bond. Though the bond itself cannot be broken. She will live, but she will feel nothing. Vela's eyes filled with tears. Real tears. They want to make me like I was before I met you. Empty. A shell. That's barbaric, Yuna said angrily. It is Velthron law, Kelth said. Emotions are considered a disease. Vela has been infected, and they want to cure her. I refuse. Vela said. I will not go back to that existence. I finally understand what it means to be alive. I will not give that up. If you refuse, they will declare you renegade, Kelth warned. You will lose your citizenship, your status, everything. Then I lose it. Vela stood up and walked to Hyunsik. She took his hands. I choose this. I choose you. I choose feeling, even if it means pain. Even if it means losing everything else. Hyunsik squeezed her hands. What about Earth? Will they let you stay here? Kelth shook his head. The Velthron Empire is demanding her return. If Earth refuses, it could cause a diplomatic crisis. Your government will likely surrender her to avoid conflict. So we're trapped, Jin said. No, Hyunsik said. An idea was forming in his mind. A crazy, dangerous idea. We're not trapped. We just need to not be here when they come for her. Vela looked at him. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we run. Yuna's eyes lit up. I can help with that. I have access to small research vessels. No one would notice if one went missing for a few days. This is illegal, Kelth said. But he didn't sound disapproving. He sounded almost hopeful. So is forcing someone to lose their emotions, Hyunsik said. Vela touched his face. They will hunt us. Both our governments will want us back. Then we'll stay ahead of them. Hyunsik pulled her close. I didn't ask for this bond. And neither did you. But now that we have it, I'm not letting anyone break us apart. Jin grinned. This is the most exciting thing that's ever happened on this boring station. Count me in to help, Kelth stood up. I will return to my ship and report that the situation requires more time to resolve. That should give you a few days' head start. But Vela, if you do this, there is no going back. I know, Vela said. She looked at Hyunsik and smiled. I'm not going back. I'm going forward. They had less than 48 hours before the Velthron enforcement ships arrived. 48 hours to prepare for a life on the run. Hyunsik looked at Vela and wondered if one night together was worth risking everything. Then she smiled at him, and he knew the answer. It was worth everything. The stolen research vessel was small and cramped, but it was fast. Hyunsik sat in the pilot's seat, his hands gripping the controls as they jumped through hyperspace. Vela sat beside him, watching the swirling lights of faster-than-light travel with wonder. I have traveled through hyperspace thousands of times, she said. But I never thought it was beautiful until now. That's what emotions do, Hyunsik said with a small smile. They make you see things differently. It had been 3 weeks since they fled Station Harmony. 3 weeks of jumping from station to station, planet to planet, always staying one step ahead of their pursuers. Yuna had loaded the ship with supplies and fake identification codes. Jin had wiped their digital trails. But both knew they couldn't hide forever. We need answers, Hyunsik said, pulling up a star map. We need to find out more about this soul tether bond. There has to be something in Velthron history that can help us. Vela studied the map. There is a place. An old archive world called Thala. It was abandoned centuries ago, when my people centralized all knowledge on the homeworld. But the ancient physical records might still be there. Is it dangerous? Very. The planet was left to decay. There could be structural collapses, radiation, anything. Hyunsik set their course for Thala. Then we better be careful. Thala looked dead from orbit. Its surface was gray and lifeless. covered in ruins of once great cities. They landed near what appeared to be a massive library complex. The buildings were crumbling, but still standing. Inside, they found rows and rows of data crystals, the old technology Velthrons used before modern computers. Most were damaged, but some still glowed faintly with stored information. "Help me look," Vela said, running her fingers over the crystals. "We need anything about the soul tether, about emotional bonding, about the old ways." They searched for hours. Dust covered everything. The air was stale and cold. Finally, Vela cried out, "Here, I found something." She activated the crystal, and a holographic projection appeared. It showed Velthrons from thousands of years ago. Unlike modern Velthrons, these ancient people smiled and laughed. They hugged each other. They showed every emotion that current Velthrons had suppressed. A recorded voice began to speak in the old Velthron language. Vela translated for Hyunsik. "These are the chronicles of the Great Division," she said, her eyes scanning the text. "It tells of a civil war that nearly destroyed our species. The war was fought over emotions. Some believed feelings made us strong. Others believed they made us weak. The conflict lasted 200 years. The hologram showed images of battle, destruction, and grief. Cities burned. Families were torn apart. The casualties were enormous. Eventually, the logic faction won," Vela continued. "They created the neural suppression technology and forced it on everyone. They said it was the only way to save our species from destroying itself. But there was resistance. Some refused the suppression and fled to other parts of the galaxy." "What happened to them?" Hyunsik asked. Vela kept reading. "They died out. Without the numbers to sustain their population, they faded into history. The suppressed Velthrons survived and prospered, building our current empire on logic and order. And the soul tether? It was the ancient Velthrons' way of ensuring strong pair bonds. When partners truly connected, emotionally and physically, their bodies would link. It guaranteed they would stay together and protect each other." Vela paused. "The records say that humans are similar to ancient Velthrons." Hyunsik leaned closer to read the projection. "What do you mean? Your species has the same emotional depth, the same capacity for connection. That's why the bond formed with you. Your human nature triggered my dormant Velthron biology. You're like my people were supposed to be, before we cut out our hearts." They spent the night in the archive, reading everything they could find. They learned that the soul tether was considered sacred in ancient times. They learned that bonded pairs were honored and protected. They learned that emotions were once seen as the greatest gift of their species, not a curse. As dawn broke over the dead planet, Vela looked at Hyunsik with tears in her eyes. "My people gave up so much. We thought we were evolving, becoming better, but we were just dying slowly, cutting away pieces of ourselves until nothing remained but empty shells." Hyunsik held her. "Maybe that's changing. Maybe you're the start of something new." Ah, their quiet moment was interrupted by alarms from their ship. Someone had found them. They ran back to the vessel and took off just as Velthron hunter ships entered orbit. The pursuit was immediate and fierce. Laser fire streaked past their hull as Hyunsik pushed the little research ship to its limits. "We can't outrun them," Vela said, monitoring the sensors. "They're faster and better armed." "Then we outsmart them," Hyunsik said. He dove toward Thala's surface, skimming over ruined cities and through narrow canyons. The hunter ships followed, but their larger size made them slower in tight spaces. Hyunsik spotted what he needed, a massive building complex with a tunnel system running through it. He flew straight into one of the tunnels, the ship's wings barely fitting through the opening. The hunter ships tried to follow, but one clipped a wall and exploded. The others pulled back. They emerged on the other side of the complex and jumped to hyperspace before the hunters could regroup. Safe in hyperspace, Hyunsik and Vela caught their breath. "That was too close," he said. "It will keep happening," Vela said. "They will never stop hunting us." "Then we need allies," Hyunsik said. We can't do this alone. Over the next month, they traveled to different worlds, seeking help. They met a species called the Torven, who had heard rumors of the bonded human and Velthron. The Torven leader, an old being named Elder Cross, listened to their story with interest. "Your bond is something special," Cross said. "In all my years studying galactic biology, I have never seen such a perfect connection between different species. You are proof that we are not as different as we think. Can you help us?" Hyunsik asked. "I can give you shelter temporarily, but what you really need is to change minds, not just hide from them." They also met members of other species who had heard their story. Some were amazed, others were skeptical, but many were moved by the idea that love could transcend species and biology. A young Velthron woman named Mireille found them on a trade station. She had removed her neural suppression illegally and was learning to feel emotions for the first time. "I heard about you," Mireille said to Vela. "About what you did. About choosing feelings over duty. You gave me hope that I could do the same." Quote, "It's dangerous," Vela warned. "You will be hunted like we are." "I don't care," Mireille said. "I lived 30 years feeling nothing. I would rather have 1 year of real life than 1,000 years of emptiness." They learned that Mireille wasn't alone. There were others, young Velthrons questioning the suppression. Vela and Hyunsik's story was spreading through secret channels, inspiring a quiet rebellion. But the Velthron Empire was also growing more aggressive. They declared Vela and Hyunsik enemies of the state. They offered huge rewards for their capture. Earth, pressured by the Velthron government, officially disavowed Hyunsik and revoked his citizenship. "We're running out of places to hide," Hyunsik said one night as they orbited a quiet moon. "Every safe harbor eventually becomes a trap." Vela took his hand. "I'm sorry I brought this upon you. If you want to surrender me and claim you were kidnapped, I would understand." "Stop," Hyunsik said firmly. "We're in this together. That's what the bond means, right? We're two parts of one whole. I'm not giving up on us. Then what do we do?" Hyunsik thought about everything they had learned. The ancient Velthron history. The growing movement of young Velthrons seeking emotions. The interest from other species in their story. An idea formed in his mind. "We stop running," he said. "We stop hiding. We make them face us directly." "How?" "We demand a trial. A public hearing in front of the Galactic Council. We make them judge whether this bond is wrong or natural. We make them decide if emotions are really a disease, or if they're what makes life worth living." Vela's eyes widened. "That's incredibly dangerous. If we lose, they will suppress me and imprison you. And if we win, we change everything." Hyunsik squeezed her hand. "Humans didn't get where we are by playing it safe. Sometimes you have to stand up and fight for what's right." Vela smiled. "You are the bravest person I have ever known." "I'm scared out of my mind," Hyunsik admitted. "But I'm also not going to let them tell us that what we have is wrong." They sent a message to the Galactic Council the next day, formally requesting a hearing. The request couldn't be ignored. It was too public, too dramatic. The council had no choice but to agree. The trial was set for 3 months away, on the neutral world of Corsana. 3 months to prepare their case. 3 months to get ready for the fight of their lives. As they traveled toward Corsana, Hyunsik and Vela knew that everything was about to change. They would either win their freedom or lose everything. But at least they would face it together. That was what the bond truly meant. The council chamber on Corsana was massive. Representatives from 200 different species sat in curved rows that rose toward the domed ceiling. Hyunsik stood in the center of the floor, feeling very small. Vela stood beside him, her hand in his. At the high bench sat the 7 council justices, each from a different ancient species. They would decide their fate. The Velthron prosecutor was a tall, severe woman named Enforcer Thyra. She stood across from them, her eyes cold silver. The Earth representative, Ambassador Day, sat in the observers section. He didn't look happy to be there. "This council is now in session," the head justice announced. Her species had 4 arms and spoke in a booming voice. "We are here to determine the legal and ethical status of the bond between Vela of Velthra and Hyun-sik of Earth. Enforcer Thyra, you may begin. Thyra stepped forward. Thank you, honored justices. This case is simple. Vela violated Velthron law by refusing neural suppression after experiencing emotional contamination. The human, Hyun-sik, is complicit in her crimes. We demand she be returned for treatment, and he be punished for harboring a fugitive. It's not that simple, Hyun-sik said loudly. You will have your turn to speak, the justice said. Enforcer Thyra, present your evidence. Thyra activated a holographic display. Velthra is built on order and logic. 3,000 years ago, our people made a choice. We eliminated emotions because they caused chaos, war, and suffering. Since that time, we have prospered. We have no crime, no conflict, and no disorder. This success is based on everyone following the same standard. She pointed at Vela. This individual has violated that standard. She has allowed herself to become infected with emotional responses. If we allow this, others will follow. The order that has kept our species safe for millennia will collapse. Images appeared showing Velthran cities, clean and ordered. Then images of ancient Velthra appeared, burning cities and devastation from their emotional civil war. This is what emotions brought us, Thyra said. Death and destruction. We will not return to that. But you're not living, Hyun-sik said. You're just existing. Silence, the justice commanded. You will wait your turn, Thyra continued. Furthermore, this bond was formed without Vela's informed consent. She did not know it would happen. The human bears responsibility for this biological attack on a Velthron citizen. That's ridiculous, Hyun-sik said. I didn't know either. The evidence suggests otherwise. Thyra pulled up data. Humans are an emotional species. You must have known that exposure to human emotions could affect other species. I'm a cultural liaison, not a biologist, Hyun-sik protested. The justice held up one of her hands. Enforcer Thyra, you are making assumptions without evidence. Please continue with facts only. Thyra looked annoyed but nodded. Very well. The facts are these. Vela formed an illegal bond. She refuses treatment. She has become a fugitive. By Velthron law, she must be returned and cured. The human must face consequences for his role in this situation. She sat down. The justice turned to Hyun-sik. You may now present your defense. Hyun-sik stood up, his heart pounding. He had rehearsed this speech 100 times, but now his mind went blank. Then he felt Vela squeeze his hand, and the words came. Honored justices, my name is Hyun-sik. I'm just a regular person. I'm not a diplomat or a lawyer. 3 months ago, I was living a normal life. Then I met Vela, and everything changed. He looked at Vela. She came to me curious about emotions. Not because she wanted to break laws, but because something inside her was calling out. Something her people tried to erase, but couldn't completely destroy. Hyun-sik activated his own display. Humans have emotions. We always have. And yes, emotions can cause pain. We fight sometimes. We cry. We hurt. But emotions also give us everything that makes life worth living. Images appeared of human achievements, art, music, architecture, scientific discoveries, families laughing together, people helping each other during disasters. We create because we feel inspired. We discover because we feel curious. We help others because we feel compassion. If you took away our emotions, you wouldn't make us better. You would make us less human. He pulled up the research he and Vela had found. The ancient Velthrans understood this. They had emotions, and they built a beautiful civilization. Yes, they had a war. But one war doesn't mean emotions are evil. It means they made mistakes. Humans have had countless wars, but we didn't cut out our ability to feel. We learned from our mistakes. The past is not relevant, Thyra interrupted. Ancient Velthra failed. Modern Velthra succeeds. Does it? Hyun-sik challenged. Let me show you something. He displayed data that Yuna had helped him compile. Velthron birth rates have been declining for centuries. Your population grows only through life extension, not through new births. Your cultural output is almost zero. No new art, no new music, no innovation beyond pure technical advancement. You're not thriving. You're slowly dying out. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Thyra stood up angrily. This is propaganda. It's public data from your own government, Hyunsik said. You can verify it. One of the justices, a being made of crystalline structures, spoke up. This council has indeed noticed Velthra's declining birth rates. We assumed it was a choice. It's not a choice, Vela said, standing up. May I speak? The head justice nodded. You may. Vela stepped forward. I was born on Velthra. I was given neural suppression at age 5, like all Velthron children. For 28 years, I felt nothing. I did my duties. I followed orders. I existed, but I never felt alive. Her voice grew stronger. When I met Hyunsik, something broke inside me. Or maybe it was fixed. For the first time, I understood what I had been missing. Love, joy, curiosity, wonder. Even pain and sadness taught me things I needed to know. She looked at the justices. The prosecutor says, emotions are a disease. But I say the real disease is emptiness. My people are dying inside. We just don't realize it because we've forgotten what being alive feels like. You were happy before, Thyra said. You had purpose and order. I was never happy, Vela said. I couldn't be. Happiness is an emotion. And I had none. I was content because I didn't know anything else. But now that I know what I was missing, I cannot go back. I will die before I let you erase who I've become. The chamber fell silent. Then Ambassador Day stood up. May I speak as Earth's representative? You may, the justice said. Day walked to the center. Earth does not condone Hyunsik's theft of the research vessel. However, we cannot support forcing someone to undergo neural alteration against their will. This would violate the Galactic Convention on Sentient Rights. She violated our laws, Thyra said. We have the right to enforce them, only on your own citizens, Day said. But the bond makes this complicated. Hyunsik is human. He is bound to Vela. By Velthron logic, if she is Velthron property, then he is too. Does Velthra claim jurisdiction over humans now? The justices looked at each other. This was getting complicated. Another justice spoke. This one, a floating sphere of energy. What of this bond itself? Is it natural or artificial? If it is natural, then it falls under biological rights protections. Hyunsik pulled up physician Kelth's research. The bond is completely natural. It's an ancient Velthron biological mechanism that activated because the conditions were right. No technology was used. No force was applied. Two people connected, and their biology responded. But you admit you did not understand the consequences, the justice said. No, Hyunsik agreed. But neither of us regrets it. We didn't choose the bond, but we choose each other now. Every day, we choose this. Vela stepped closer to him. The bond made us connected, but love made us partners. There is a difference. Thyra played her final card. If you allow this bond to stand, you set a precedent. Other Velthrons will seek emotional experiences. Our social order will collapse. Chaos will return. The Council will be responsible for the destruction of an entire civilization. Or its rebirth, Hyunsik said. Maybe your people need to feel again. Maybe that's why your birth rates are falling. Maybe souls need emotions to want to bring new life into the world. Speculation, Thyra said. Backed by evidence, Hyunsik countered. Every emotional species in this chamber has stable or growing populations. Only species that suppress emotions show decline. The justices deliberated for hours. Hyunsik and Vela waited, holding hands. They had said everything they could. Now, it was out of their control. Finally, the head justice spoke. We have reached a decision. This is a split ruling. We find that the bond between Vela and Hyun-sik is natural and cannot be forcibly broken without violating sentient rights. Therefore, Velthra cannot compel Vela to undergo suppression. Relief flooded through Hyun-sik, but the justice continued. However, we also find that Vela has violated Velthran law. Velthra has the right to revoke her citizenship and ban her from their territory. Hyun-sik has violated Earth laws by stealing the research vessel. Earth has the right to revoke his citizenship as well. The justice looked at them both. You are free to remain together. But you are citizens of nowhere. You must find your own path forward. This council grants you asylum on any neutral world willing to accept you. This is our final ruling. Thyra looked furious. Ambassador Day looked relieved. Hyun-sik felt dizzy. They had won, sort of. They could stay together, but they had lost everything else. As they left the council chamber, beings from other species approached them. Some offered words of support. Others offered sanctuary. The crystalline justice even approached them privately. What you two have, the justice said, is rare and precious. You fought for it well. May you find peace together. Already, CPs Hyun-sik and Vela walked out into Corsana's evening air. They were free, but they were homeless. What now? Vela asked. Hyun-sik smiled. Now we build a life. Together. 1 year later, Hyun-sik stood on a beach watching the sunset. The sky was painted in shades of orange and purple. Waves crashed gently on the shore. He still couldn't believe this was his life now. The planet was called Haven, a neutral world that had welcomed them after the trial. It was home to refugees and outcasts from across the galaxy. Beings who didn't fit into their own societies had found peace here. Vela walked up behind him and wrapped her arms around his waist. Her skin patterns glowed softly in the fading light. What are you thinking about? She asked. How one night changed everything, Hyun-sik said. If I hadn't spilled that wine on you, none of this would have happened. I like to think we would have found each other anyway, Vela said. Some connections are meant to happen. They walked along the beach together. In the distance, they could see their home, a simple house they had built with help from their new community. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. Life on Haven had been challenging at first. They had no money, no status, and no resources beyond what their friends could provide. Yuna had sent them supplies secretly. Jin had transferred credits into hidden accounts. Even physician Kelth had helped, sending medical equipment so Vela could monitor the bond's health. But slowly, they had built something real. Hyun-sik had started teaching cultural exchange classes at Haven's Learning Center. Beings from different worlds came to learn about human emotions and how to understand them. It turned out his experience as a cultural liaison was valuable. Even here, Vela had become something more important. Word of her story had spread through the galaxy, especially among young Velthrans. More and more of them were questioning the neural suppression. Some were removing it entirely, risking everything to feel. Those who made that choice often came to Haven seeking Vela's guidance. She taught them how to handle their new emotions, how to process feelings that overwhelmed them. She became a teacher and a symbol of hope. 3 more arrived today, Vela said as they walked. Young Velthrons, who removed their suppressions. They're scared and confused. You'll help them, Hyun-sik said. You always do. With your help, I couldn't do this alone. It was true. They worked together, Hyun-sik explaining human emotional development, while Vela translated it for Velthron biology. They had helped dozens of former Velthrons learn to live with feelings. The movement was growing. The Velthron government tried to suppress information about it, but they couldn't stop it entirely. Every month, more young Velthrons disappeared from their home world, seeking emotional freedom. Hyun-sik's communicator beeped. A message from Ambassador Day appeared. He read it and smiled. What is it? Vela asked. Earth is offering me a pardon. They want me to return and work as a special consultant on human-alien emotional integration. He paused. But I would have to come alone. You're still banned. Vela's eyes flickered through several colors. You should go. It's a great opportunity. Not without you, Hyun-sik said immediately. We're bonded, remember? We can't be apart for long. Besides, I don't want to be apart from you. Even for a day. You gave up everything for me, Vela said softly. Your career, your citizenship, your home world. I didn't give it up. I traded it for something better. Hyun-sik kissed her forehead. I found you. I found purpose. I found a life that actually means something. They continued walking as stars began appearing in the sky. Haven had 2 moons that rose together, creating a beautiful silver light. I have news too, Vela said quietly. What kind of news? She stopped walking and turned to face him. Her eyes were a brilliant pink color, warm and joyful. I'm pregnant. Hyun-sik stared at her. What? How? I thought Velthron birth rates were almost 0. They are. For emotionally suppressed Velthrans. Vela placed his hand on her stomach. But I'm not suppressed anymore. I feel everything. And apparently, my body remembered how to create life. Tears filled Hyun-sik's eyes. We're having a baby? A hybrid. Half human, half Velthron. Physician Kelth confirmed it. He says the child will be healthy and unique. The first of a new kind. Hyun-sik laughed and cried at the same time. He picked Vela up and spun her around. This is incredible. This is amazing. Kelth says it's because of the soul tether bond, Vela explained when he set her down. The bond didn't just connect us emotionally, it connected our biology at a deep level. It made reproduction possible. Underd, does this mean other bonded pairs could have children too? Possibly. If more Velthrans form true emotional connections. Vela smiled. We might be saving my species in a way no one expected. Not through suppression and logic, but through love and connection. They sat on the sand, watching the moons rise higher. Hyun-sik held Vela close, his hand resting on her stomach, where their child grew. What will we name them? He asked. Something that honors both our worlds, Vela said. Something that represents hope. Over the next months, news of the pregnancy spread. It became a sensation across the galaxy. Scientists wanted to study it. Governments wanted to understand it. But most importantly, it gave hope to other Velthrans who had chosen emotions. If Vela could have a child, maybe their species wasn't dying after all. Maybe there was a future beyond suppression and emptiness. The Velthron government tried to deny the pregnancy was real. They called it propaganda. But too many people had seen the evidence. Too many witnesses confirmed it. Young Velthrans continued to remove their suppressions in growing numbers. The government couldn't arrest them all. The movement was becoming too large to stop. Mireille, the young Velthron woman they had met months ago, came to visit. She had formed a bond of her own with a human man named Tay. They were expecting a child too. You started something, Mireille said to Vela. A revolution. Not with weapons or anger, but with love. I just wanted to feel alive, Vela said. I never meant to change everything. But you did, Tay said. Both of you showed the galaxy that different species can connect. That emotions aren't weakness. That love is stronger than any law. When Vela went into labor, beings from across Haven gathered outside their home in support. Physician Kelth had come personally to oversee the delivery. Yuna and Jin had traveled from Earth, risking their own careers to be present. The birth was difficult. Hybrid biology was unpredictable. But after 12 hours, a baby's cry filled the room. Hyun-sik held his daughter for the first time, tears streaming down his face. She was perfect. She had Vela's luminescent skin patterns but Hyun-sik's dark hair. Her eyes shifted colors like a Velthron's. But her facial features were human. She's beautiful, he whispered. She's perfect, Vela agreed, exhausted but glowing with joy. They named her Nari, which meant lily in Korean, a flower that symbolized new beginnings. News of Nari's birth reached every corner of the galaxy. The first human Velthron hybrid. Proof that the bond could create new life. Hope for a dying species. The Velthron government finally broke their silence. They issued a statement acknowledging that neural suppression might have had unintended consequences. They formed a committee to study the benefits of controlled emotional restoration. It wasn't a full admission of wrongdoing, but it was a start. 6 months after Nari's birth, Hyun-sik received another message, this time from the Velthron High Council itself. They wanted to meet with him and Vela. They wanted to discuss the future. It could be a trap, Jin warned. Or it could be progress, Yuna said. Hyun-sik and Vela talked about it for days. Finally, they agreed to go, but only to a neutral location, and with guarantees of safety from the Galactic Council. The meeting took place on Corsana, in the same building where they had been tried. But this time, the atmosphere was different. The Velthron officials who met them looked curious rather than hostile. The council leader, an older Velthron named Elder Quan, studied Nari with fascination. "She is remarkable," he said. "I have lived 200 years and never seen anything like her." "She's our daughter," Hyun-sik said protectively. "Of course." Quan sat down. "We asked you here because we face a crisis. Our birth rates have reached critical levels. Within 3 generations, our population will begin catastrophic decline. We need solutions. Remove the neural suppression," Vela said bluntly. "Let your people feel again." "It's not that simple," Quan said. 3,000 years of suppression cannot be undone overnight. Many Velthrons fear emotions. They don't remember what it means to feel. "Then teach them," Hyun-sik said. "Start with volunteers. Let those who want to feel have that choice." "Like a pilot program," Vela added. "Show the people that emotions can be managed, that they can make life richer, not more chaotic." Quan considered this. "Would you help us? Would you teach our people, as you have taught those who came to Haven?" Vela looked at Hyun-sik. He squeezed her hand and nodded. "We'll help," Vela said. "But only if you make real changes. No more forced suppression. No more punishment for those who choose to feel." "Agreed," Quan said. It was a small step, but it was progress. Years passed. Hyun-sik and Vela traveled between Haven and Velthra, teaching emotional integration to those who chose it. Thousands of Velthrons volunteered. Slowly, carefully, a new Velthra began to emerge, one that balanced logic with feeling, order with passion. More human Velthron children were born. Each one was celebrated as a miracle. The hybrid children grew up strong and healthy, combining the best traits of both species. Hyun-sik's parents finally accepted his choice and came to meet their granddaughter. His mother cried when she held Nari for the first time. "I didn't understand," she told Hyun-sik. "I thought you had thrown your life away. But I see now. You found something precious." On Nari's 5th birthday, Hyun-sik and Vela stood on the same beach where they had learned about the pregnancy. Nari played in the waves, laughing with joy that sparkled in her shifting eyes. "Do you ever regret it?" Vela asked. "That night? That changed everything?" Hyun-sik pulled her close. "Not for a second. That night gave me you. It gave me Nari. It gave me a purpose, bigger than I ever imagined." "I love you," Vela said. "Not because of the bond, but because of who you are." "I love you too," Hyun-sik said. "Bond or no bond, I would choose you every time." As the sun set over Haven's ocean, Hyun-sik realized that sometimes the biggest changes come from the smallest moments. One spilled glass of wine. One night of connection. One choice to feel instead of running away from feelings. That was all it took to change 2 lives, 2 species, and eventually, an entire galaxy. He had never seen it coming, but he wouldn't change a single moment.